Hi, folks, and welcome along to your Monday episode of the Endless Celts. I'm joined tonight by two guys that need no introduction because they are on every week. But it's Wally and Franny. We're on episode what? I think it's 100, 182. 182. We're racking them up. Racking the episodes up like Celtic are racking up wins. But how are you doing, boys?
All right.
All good.
Still recovering
Good
from a
weekend.
bit of heavy weekend, but I thought that's what I was saying before we came on. I don't know where the weekend's gone. Monday already, man.
It flies by. I was at the Strictly shows at the Hydro on Friday night. The Wayne loves it, but I have to admit, so they are. But it was a good weekend. But we'll get right into it. Well, I say get right into it. We'll start off with the pleasantries and just welcome along everybody in the comments. Hope you are all doing well. And then we'll go on to the Super Six, which I'm reluctantly want to talk about because
my lead got clawed back a wee bit.
Well, you're still top comfortably. You're on 300, and then we've got James Bowitt on 269. So that's 31 points. That's a fair old gap. Then we've got Stephen Coulthart, who's on 265. Jamie Latimer on 258. And then yourself, Willie, on 254. That's just the top five.
Champions League. Just outside the Champions League spots. That's not bad.
Aye, Spurs. When they boast too much about that kid.
No.
Says, I'm Crystal Palace, but hey ho. But aye, that's your Super Six standings. I don't think we'll see much change at the top unless Franny just stops playing it. But I have to say, he's not been winning the rounds recently, I've noticed. But he's still got a big enough lead. But that's that. Nobody's bothered about it. It's shite. We'll move on to the game on Saturday night, the 5:30 kickoff. Fifth round of the Scottish Cup. Another victory. I'll just come to yourself first, Franny. Just a sort of, I wouldn't say we were at our absolute best on Saturday, what I can remember, because I had a few beers, but I wouldn't say we were at our absolute best. But just a brief sort of overview of the match.
It was kind of, we were talking just before we came on. It was almost like a job done. As silly as that sounds, when you win 5-1, it was never, for me, it was never a 5-1 game. But it was just one of the ones that the sending off just totally changed the game and stuff. And guys, like when you can bring the quality Rio Hatate off the bench and Matt O'Reilly, then you're actually up against 10 men. It does benefit you big time. It just shows the golfing class. And the team the last 15 minutes decided they're going to put on a show for the fans. But never did I think we were in any bother in the game. Obviously, St Mirren had a couple of chances and spells they played well, but Celtic kind of stuck at it and obviously believed they would tire. But it didn't feel like a 5-1 game, but it's one of the ones that's a very very dominant one, and just on to the next round.
Aye, I mean, I sort of agree with that in the sense that it didn't feel like a 5-1 game, but I think it's just, again, it's getting to the stage what it would have been probably like when Jock Stein's team were playing. The fans, they don't even need to watch the game. They just turn up and play tag. Again, we're going to win. But it's just easy. But what about yourself, Wally? What did you sort of take for the performance?
Much the same. I mean, fair play to St Mirren. I think that's a few times we've played this and they've no sat in. They've always came and tried to have a go at us. So you've got to give them props. But like you said, I don't think there was ever any danger of us not winning the game. And our squad depth again just shone through. Won quite at the races and made 3 substitutions, and every one of them had an impact. And it was fairly comfortable in the end. Another dominant win. The squad's head and shoulders above any other squad in the country. So if you're calling on these guys, I mean, it's just magic time to be a Celtic fan. Like I say, even if we went 2-1 after 80 minutes, I still fancy us to come and win the game. I just think we're that good now. We're that good going forward.
Aye, and I would agree with that. Teams they're really struggling to handle the way we play, and they're scared to. Most of the teams are scared to come at us. Don't get me wrong. Like say Rangers and stuff, certainly at Ibrox, even at Parkhead, if they can, they would come and try and have a go. But most of the teams really struggle to get out and lay a glove on us. I think I touched on it last week. St Johnstone had tried to do it,
Aye.
but again, it was only in small spells because we keep the ball so well and we work so hard, and we've got far more quality than all the other teams in the league. But we'll move on to the goals, which there was a lot, but most of them came in the final 15 minutes. But the first goal, obviously, it was pretty much immediately after losing Kyogo to injury, which we'll touch on a wee bit later. But obviously, come to you, Willie. You're no shooter. In fact, I was actually saying at the time, and I don't know why I said it, but I was saying Abada, he came on, I says, oh, he'll go through the middle, and you were saying, no, it'll be Maeda, and I was like, no, it'll be Abada probably. He'll keep Maeda out wide, and then I hadn't even finished the sentence, Maeda was putting the ball in the net. But I mean, just talk us through that goal, what you thought of it.
Just my magic again. He's picking up that wee pocket of space in between the fullback and the centre half, which he seems to be doing a lot more recently on the right hand side. And you can't defend the ball he's put in. And Maeda can't. I know Maeda's susceptible to missing a sitter or two, but he can't miss that. It's been put on a plate. Moy was just a different class for the goal yet again. It's interesting seeing Maeda getting put up top, because I think we've touched on it a lot before in the podcast, and I much prefer him out on the left.
Mm-hmm.
But he can definitely stretch and press defenders playing in that striker role, and his movement was brilliant for the goal, and he couldn't miss. But like I said, Moy put it on an absolute plate for him.
Aye, but I was going to sort of touch on the movement you're bang on. He sort of like made the move towards the goal, then kind of slowed it down, and then just his burst, his speed gets across the defender. But again, Franny, well, I say again, his first goal, but Abada was heavily involved in this goal, as he was a few goals. I think he was heavily involved, well, and certainly involved in some way in 4 of the 5 goals. I thought his ball, what did you think of his ball and just the goal in general?
I was just kind of touch on the sub as well, Ross. I was similar to you in a way that I was screaming for O to come on, because I'm like, well, this is a perfect chance. Why you know bring your striker on? I'm like, what's that really saying? But then Ange kind of alluded to that in his post-match stuff, said he's not quite fit yet. But when Abada came, and then obviously I think I'm sitting saying that to the guy next to him about the football, like, why are you not bringing on? And similar to you, next thing the ball's in it, Maeda's tucked it away and stuff. But it's a great wee pass for Abada, then the second assist, one that Stephen will love. He'll love that one, the wee second assist and stuff. And then fair play to Moy, makes the run, and then does what Moy does. You're confident that Moy will pick the right pass in that situation. He'll make the right decision. And like you said, Ross, Maeda just, it goes to make the run, then makes it, and just it can't miss. And it's just Ange being Ange in it. You're saying Abada through the middle. I'm wondering why O's not gone on, and he puts Maeda through the middle, and that's why we're up 1-0. So we're here and he's in the dugout.
Well, aye, but I mean, he knows O better than us. He knows his fitness. But I mean, that just sort of, like we're talking about, can Maeda? I don't think he could like play through the middle for us and in place of Kyogo, if just for talking sake, if Kyogo was like a really long-term injury, I don't think he could play every game. But in his defence, that goal he scored, that's the type of goal that Kyogo scores all the time. It was a similar run, similar movement, and the finish. So you have to credit him for that, absolutely. sort of after, I mean, like I said, I don't think we were at our scintillating best, but we made chances throughout the game. Thought Jota played pretty well, but it took us obviously until something like the 75th minute to get the goal, to get the second goal. Willie, just coming to you on that again. Abada involved in it, he wins the penalty. In your opinion, do you think it was a penalty? And if you think it was a penalty, do you think it was worthy of a red card?
I do. I think it was a penalty. 100% a penalty, and I think the red card is because he's stopping the goal score. Well, I say stopping a goal scoring opportunity. It's gone in the back of the net. He saved it. So I think. Well, I was going to say by the letter of the law, but I don't know what the fuck. The rules that I know and the old rules that we used to go by, if he stopped that going in the net, then it's got to be a red card. He's saved it. So, but the build-up play was great. The ball into Abada. Who was it that played the ball into Abada again? O'Reilly. Was it O'Reilly that played the ball in?
I
think it was because I wanted to.
Can't even mind.
When I watched it back, I was like, it's funny because I don't know who the fans are going to hear go at now because Abada and O'Reilly came on and they were electric. So who are they going to have a go at now? Because Abada was fantastic, like you said, created chances and probably should have had a goal himself. And I know we're going to O'Reilly's goal. He's finally got this goal and this monkey off his back. I think he's been fabulous for us this year, and he's got the most assists in the league. So I can't see him doing much wrong. But Aye, definitely. Stonewaller, definitely a red card. Connor Goldson would have been proud of that save. So,
well, I'll come at you first, Franny, and then I'll tell you what I think. But in terms of, obviously, the same question to you in terms of if you thought it was a penalty and a red card. And obviously, Hatate scores the penalty. I don't know what you think. At this point, to me, it looks like we haven't actually got a designated penalty taker. It's just whoever fancies it. Do you think that's a worry? Granted, we've probably scored the last 3 or 4 of our penalties. I'm not sure if I would rather have maybe one who's definitely the penalty taker, and if he's not in the park, then like this other guy can take them, whoever it is. But we seem to be chopping and changing between penalty takers. I like a bit of continuity in that, if possible. But just what you think on the penalty and that, and then obviously that.
It's a penalty. It's a Stonewaller. I think when you see obviously Abada's blooted the ball, I think it's a harsh red card. But I think under similar to the letter of the law, I'll take a punt at the letter of the law, and it's got to be a red card. It stopped a goal. But I think it's harsh. I mean, it was a joke how long it took to actually tell the ref firstly to go to the monitor, and then it's a joke how long he took to actually give the penalty. But it's a different argument, I suppose. That's maybe for another night. But I think the player can be a bit unlucky with the red card, but it's one of them. He's got to go, I think, just because it's simply Abada's scoring if his arm doesn't get in the way. As for the penalty taker, I think obviously Moy was off the park by then, eh? He would have been.
He was.
So I think he might be a designated penalty taker there now. But I'm with you. I think he seems to have taken, even when Hatate was on the last few, Moy's taken them. But I would say I'm like you. I want continuity because I don't know if it's just maybe a content. You've seen the guy maybe step up and score the majority of his penalties and stuff, and it just gives you that confidence when he gets another one. I just think if you're chopping and changing, I suppose maybe keepers will not be able to go, well, this is where he stuck his last few. They maybe didn't know who's got to hit the penalty, but I think you've got to have a designated penalty taker. Suppose if a guy's got the confidence to say, go and give me it, I want to take it, that's a good thing. But I would like just a designated penalty taker. Then obviously, if he's not in the park, so-and-so's taking it. If this is a situation we're saying, but I would prefer a designated one.
I mean, I would sort of agree with that. And you made a good point, to be fair, because I'd actually forgot that Moy had obviously swapped with Hatate. So you could be right, possibly Moy is the penalty taker. But, I mean, time will tell on that. In terms of the penalty, for me, I thought like you guys, I thought absolutely a penalty kick. You just couldn't. Morning. You've been on the night shift, kid.
Been on a bender.
I think it's a stonewall penalty. Absolutely no doubt about it. You could say, oh, how does he not get that decision straight away without looking at VAR? But it depends where he's standing on the pitch, if he's unsighted. But I thought it was a harsh red card. Again, like yours, I'm not sure what the letter of the law is anymore, but my understanding is, I know it's gone in. I know his arm is out for his side a bit, but I think just the way he slides down, your arms naturally do that. So I don't think he's deliberately made himself bigger, but he has stopped the ball from going in the net. But I don't think he's deliberately handballed it. And my understanding is, and it could be wrong, that if you've not deliberately handballed it, then I thought maybe a yellow would have been fair. But I don't know. But we'll take it because we've had enough decisions against us, and it was at a moment in the game where it gave us, well, I was going to say, the penalty was justified, so we never got. We would have scored the penalty anyway, so we would have went on and won the game at that 2-0 up with 15 minutes to go. But just coming to you, Wally, on the designated penalty taker situation, just what's your thoughts? Would you rather we had a definite one? Do you think Moy is it? Just what you think?
I know, I agree, totally agree. I think we need to have, and I think Moy is the man. Tati looks well able as well, so I do. Moy wasn't on the park, so I think that he's definitely our designated penalty taker. But I don't care as long as they're all gone in, because we've had a rotten record before Moy started taking them.
Aye, well, I know.
So as long as they're gone in, I'm no fussed who's taking it. But I think Moy's probably our designated taker now, and I, like you, I'd much prefer it if there was one penalty taker. Then there's no arguments and no indecision and all the rest of it. So, Moy for me.
Well, what happens, right? I'll come to you first here, Franny. If obviously Moy he's probably got the shirt, if you like, the edge over O'Reilly at the minute, maybe just, but there's nothing between them. O'Reilly, if he came in and played and Moy was dropped, you wouldn't bat an eyelid. So what happens if O'Reilly, obviously he's got his goal now, and I agree, me and Wally spoke about it in last week's pod, I don't think he's been like really, really poor, he's just not had that goal. But if he then takes the shirt off of Moy, which he very well could, right, and Moy's the designated penalty taker, but he's no starting games, is it Hatate then? Do you know what I mean? Then you've got that grey area who is the designated penalty taker.
I suppose you'd hope that they've obviously discussed it and things, but I know McGregor hit one's back a wee while ago, but I honestly don't know. I think it's that whole left foot. I don't know what it is. Aye.
He's missed a few as well, eh? Going to need 5 takers or something. Well, you're aye. No in Scotland, because we hammer everybody before it gets taken penalties, but I get the sentiment.
I suppose that after the weekend, I think you're going to say maybe Hatate's next in line, I think. So I really don't know, Ross. I honestly don't know the answer to that one, but I wouldn't be against O'Reilly taking it. He's a culture type of player. You would expect him to tuck it away, but again, I would say that about McGregor, but I don't think I'd be confident with McGregor taking a penalty for some reason.
I don't think there's any real standouts. Obviously,
it's weird we're not necessarily going for looking at the strikers, but
aye. But I don't know about yourself, Wally. Well, Moy has obviously took a few and he scored them. Hatate scored, but even like Kyogo, I don't think anybody jumps out and you would say, right, I'm fully confident in him. Is there anybody for you?
I always try and think about the technical players. So maybe like Jota. I mean, pinged one in the top bag in Madrid. So I think these sort of guys, I mean, Hatate is very technical as well, as is Moy. they're the guys I'd probably scream out to. I know this is going to sound...
got an answer for it.
I think it might sound a bit ridiculous, but I genuinely don't think Kyogo's a great finisher.
Totally
a lot
agree.
of it's reactive, so I wouldn't be so sure with him with penalties. But I think there's been in the comments that said it as well. I think there needs to be like a short list, like a top 3 or 4 in a ranking situation, so that Moyes the number 1, Hatate's number 2, so and so's number 3. So that if there isn't anybody in the park, we're not doing a St Johnstone and doing rock paper scissors for it. It's there set in stone. But I mean, I think it's all down to the manager, isn't it? I think some managers quite happy to let the team to decide, and there's some managers that make the decision themselves. But for me at the moment, I think Moyes, until he misses any, I think he needs to, if he keeps scoring them, then there's no reason to change it. Calmac, I would like, but I think he's missed a couple. I mean, he hit the post, so maybe he's just decided, nah, I'm not wanting any more of that. But if it's no broke, don't fix it, in my opinion. So if Moyes putting him in the back of the net, then leave him on them.
I agree with that. And obviously, I mean, you have to credit Hatate. He stuck his penalty away really well. The keeper went the right way, but it was such a good penalty that he just couldn't stop it. But I think Ange has maybe sort of alluded to previously. I might be wrong, but something's in my head saying that he's sort of said, "Can you leave it up to the guys?" I don't know. I might be wrong. I might have just made that up, but
I mind when Giakoumakis missed his at Livy.
Aye.
And Juranovic had scored 2 or 3 at this point, and the gaffer came out afterwards. I'm pretty sure he said it was his decision, or it was the team's decision. I don't know, as a collective, but he was like, Jaka scored 5 out of 5 penalties last year in his previous club, and he's your penalty taker. So, it's interesting. It might be the gaffer that's decided. If that comment's anything to go by, then I would assume so. But again, you hear all the comments about how at Lennox Town he doesn't go anywhere near the dressing room because that's Calmac's domain and all the rest of it. So I think he's got a lot of trust in the players, and I wouldn't be surprised if the likes of Calmac sat the team down and they decided amongst themselves. But it's an interesting chat.
Aye, but at least we're having this conversation, and it's not because we've missed a penalty.
I know.
So
and we're actually getting penalties.
I don't know if you heard, I was listening about I think it was BBC Radio Scotland the way home for it, and it was Ange in his post match. The guy interviewing him was like, "So, do you consider yourself fortunate to get a penalty that decisions went favourable in your way?" He went, "I don't know what you mean by that." And the guy was like, "Well, you've said that you've not had many decisions." He went, "I know, but but you're saying that it's favourable." And he was like, "Well, they went to VAR and the guy went to monitor." He went, "But you're suggesting it's favourable means we shouldn't have got it. Do you think it was a penalty?" And the guy interviewing was like, "I went, so how was it favourable? How was that went this side favourable then?"
That is a ridiculous thing to say.
Just absolutely owned them again.
But I mean, how no? Like that's plenty. See, that was just a nonsensical thing to say, and you didn't say nonsensical things to Ange because he'll just give you your dinner. But we'll move on to the third goal again. Abada involved in it. Johnston, McGregor eventually comes to him. He has the strike. Obviously, Franny gets off the mark. What did you think of that goal?
It was a good goal, good build up again and stuff. And McGregor takes a wee bit of responsibility, takes a shot, and is just in the right place where you want your striker to be, just to pick up any slacks, and he gets his reward for being on his toes, so to speak, and being in that position ready to do it. And it'll give the guy, you would hope it gives the guy tons of confidence, because I know he's not had many. I think that was maybe his 4th appearance, but when you consider minutes, I feel I'd look if it's 30, 40 minutes he's played. But the way the media maybe works in Scotland, that the narrative might get drawn as, that's 5, 6, 7 games that he's not scored, but he could have only maybe played a totally 50, 60 minutes, and it's the last 5 minutes here, the last 10 minutes there, where it's hard to actually get in a game. So you hope that in front of the home support as well, where it's sometimes you can see team players can score away from home, but they're desperate to get that first home goal. So he scored early in his Celtic career, and all you can ask for in a striker is just get off the mark early, give yourself the best chance to kick on, really.
Aye, I mean, it's one thing coming in as a striker at maybe like Kyogo, 26-year-old, I think he was when he came in. But then to come in at 21, Wally, you just want to get that goal as a striker. You feed off it, get yourself off the mark. You know, well, Ange just said that he's no up to speed fitness-wise, if you like. But in terms of, obviously, the wee sort of turn he done to win the free kick last week, and then he's obviously like alive when the ball breaks. It's all good signs coming for you so far.
Definitely, and for me, looks. I always said about when Giakoumakis was talking about him leaving. The reason I was a bit gutted is because he's something totally different to Kyogo. But I think O's totally different. He's got the engine, he's got the press, but he seems like a poacher to me. That's a poacher's goal. Reminded me a lot of Gary Hooper. He reacts first, and he's the first one in there to stick it away. And he's 21 years old, but everything I've seen on social media and interviews, he's got an old head on his shoulders, and it seems like it's everything that Ange always wants in a player. For example, I think he said after the game, I think he was asked if he was like ready to take Kyogo's place if he was long-term injured, and he says, "I feel I'm ready to go, but it'll be down to the managers and it'll be down to the staff. And I hope Kyogo's not injured. I want him to be fit and playing."
Aye, absolutely.
So I mean, it's magic. It's like, and I think the gaffer mentioned that after the game, it's not just him. The guys are coming on. They're no mumping and moaning. They're no playing. They're saying, "I'm going to show you what I've got in this last half hour or however long they've got in the game." So, I've been really impressed. I know we've not seen too much of him yet, but I'm really liking the fact that he is different to Kyogo. I don't want a similar player, because I always thought it was really effective that when it wasn't working when Kyogo was playing, we had something totally different in Giakoumakis and vice versa. And it seems like we've got that I can't wait to see more of him. His movement's great. He looks like he's strong as an ox. And he's when his celebration as well was brilliant. You can see what it means to him and what it means for him to be at the club, and it's magic. I can't wait to see more of him. I'm really looking forward to seeing a lot more of him in the team.
I mean, I would agree with that. I think it's plenty to see. I always, just a bit of an example, like the short like stints with Senio, you've seen like nice wee touches. He's got his goal and stuff like that. I think you can always tell pretty quick if somebody is going to cut it or no. Like, say, he's come in and done what he's done. You can see there's a player in there, and a wee bit of time, once he settles down and all that, he's going to be a good player. You look at guys like Klamala, who came in. He played a Scottish Cup game in his debut, and I was like, wow, this guy is fucking rotten, man. Within like 10 minutes, you just knew he wasn't going to be good enough. Do you sort of agree with that, Franny?
I think you can, and I think what also helps that, Ross, is we've touched on it so many times. Ange's success rate with his signings as well are pretty high. So we're far from specialists in football, but we've watched football long enough and seen a lot of good players to know that to have a good idea if you think a guy's got to make it or no at the club. And I think, like you have said, he's shown attributes, showed bits, snippets in games where you're like, I think as long as this guy screws it up, is patient, because I think it's if Giakoumakis can't get ahead of Kyogo, it's got to be quite hard for O to get ahead of him. So as long as he's patient and bides his time, I think he'll be more of a success than what Klamala was anyway.
Oh, it wouldn't be hard. And listen, by the way, we don't always get it right, because I maintained for a couple of months, maybe more, that Dirk Boerigter was a player, and
well, I had
that just did not try.
Well. Aye,
and I mean, we'll just go to it now because it sort of ties in. But obviously, the news came out today that Utrecht will be taking on Barkas.
Mean Stephen.
I mean, I'll come to you first, Wally. Just your thoughts on that. I know that they've basically said that they wouldn't take. I think they think he's done well and they rate him, but they're not going to be able to afford him.
Aye.
Do you think then, in terms of Barkas coming back, do you think he'll come back and Ange will give him a go and let him stake a claim, or do you think it'll be a case of he's coming back here because Utrecht can't afford him, but we're going to sell him anyway?
It's hard to tell what the gaffer's thoughts are on that. I don't see why, if he's went away, built his confidence up and improved, he wouldn't be given a chance. Like, I would be willing to forget all the rotten stuff he did. If he came back and he was a different player, I've got no qualms about putting him in. If he's anything close to the player he was, I would be getting shot at him straight away. Big poppadom hands. But no, I mean, it's happened with players before. I mean, Ryan Christie came in, he went away on loan, came back a different animal. He was superb for us for a number of years. So it's definitely worked in the past. And but in saying that, I'm not sure, but I'm pretty sure. I don't know if the loan was an option to buy, and you're saying that they're just can't afford them. If that's the case, I would be thinking that the gaffer's already made his decision and he's not coming in. But I mean, Stephen will be buzzing. He's wanting red heart last week, so maybe Barkas is the man to take his place.
I will. I mean, I can't comment on how he's done it because I've not seen him play a minute. But I mean, by all accounts, he's done pretty well. He's been one of the best keepers in the league. And it's maybe not the guy's fault, Franny, because obviously he's came in and the sort of COVID season, it was a really poor Celtic team. But then at the same time, even obviously the Celtic team he was playing in under Ange is nowhere near where we're at the moment. So you sort of make an excuse then for him as well. He's still playing with a makeshift defence in front of him. I know you thought there was a keeper in there. Do you think that he can come back and stake a claim, or do you think it's the way he performed for the length of time he performed that there's no really any coming back?
I don't think there is, because obviously Ange gave him a wee go in friendlies at the start of the season and stuff. But obviously didn't see enough in the friendlies that he went out and got Joe Hart. Now, Joe Hart is a really good keeper, so it's one of them. You get the chance to sign a Joe Hart when you've got a Barkas. It's your option.
I am a keeper.
It's a bit of a no-brainer. As much as I was somehow a massive fan of the guy, just like Stephen, we've seen something in there, but he failed to show. I don't know what me and Stephen were seeing, but like
I don't think he even made five saves in the time he was here.
I'd be like, we probably spoke about it in the podcast, but you were actually cheering when he made a save, routine saves. That's how bad it got for the guy, and I think that
cheering. You wouldn't have lost your voice then.
No, certainly not. Certainly not. But I mean, like Wally said, if the guy has went away and performed well, comes back and performs, then why no? But I just, as much as I stay close to the railway, I didn't see me jumping back on that Barkas train, I'll be honest with you.
That's decent, mate. I like that wee analogy there. For me, I was thinking about it today when it sort of, I was going to say when the news broke, it's not exactly fucking breaking news, but well, it was breaking enough for Stephen to put it in the group chat. But I was thinking about it and I was trying to like cut him a bit of slack, but the best I could do was say he's the worst goalkeeper I've ever seen in the Celtic jersey. And Stuart Kerr and Gordon Marshall played for us.
Yeah.
Carol Muggleton. I know, but I really don't see any way back for the guy. It's one of the things. It just doesn't work out for you at certain clubs, and certain clubs it does. Obviously, if you're a top level elite player, wherever you go, it mostly works out. But when you're at that mid range, I mean, that's me being sound mid-range because he's never near that. But I don't see a way back from him. But moving on from Barkas to Mr. Starfelt. Willie, I'll come to you. Obviously, St Mirren's consolation. For me, I think it is a penalty. What do you think? Do you think it's a penalty? And I've seen some folk, I've said it myself, it's not every single game he makes a mistake, but there is a mistake in there. We've all said it at times. Do you think that was a mistake? I've heard people saying it was. I'm not sure, but what was your thoughts on it?
I think so. I think he's overcommitted himself. He has got a mistake in him, and a lot of them don't lead to much, but he has got at least one of them in a game. Like I said last week, I really rate him in the sense that he's strong, he's great in the air, and he is quick. I've seen people saying he's fucking rapid. No, he's not rapid. He's like decent pace. He's quick, but when it comes to the way, and I'm not surprised Ange stuck with him because he's done well. He's done really well. Obviously, him and CCV have been brilliant together. They've no lost a domestic game for however long it is now. Really, really good pairing. But when it comes to the way Ange wants to play, he's not a ball playing centre half, and I don't mind if that's the case. If he wants one big no nonsense centre back and one ball playing centre half in CCV, some of the best partnerships have been that in recent times. Rio and Vidic was never a ball playing defender; he was just a big brute. Mm-hmm. And Rio did all the tidying up. So, and if that's the case, it's fine. But there's at least once in a game where he goes to play a pass and the pass is short, or he's got the studs in it instead of the side of the foot, and I just think sometimes he's got this wee daft overcommitting. He did it at Ibrox in the game as well. There's no need to go to ground there, and he's wiped the boy out. The same there. I know he's trying to clear the ball and the boy's got in. I just think he's a bit naive. It's definitely a penalty for me. And he's got that in him. But he has been brilliant. He has been superb for us this year. It's just he's just got that wee daft moment in him, which, because we don't concede many chances and we've got a lot of possession in a lot of games, it shows up a lot more than it should, to be honest with you. But I do think the good outweighs the bad with him. But he definitely he's just a bit of fucking loony at points.
I mean, I cannot disagree with that one single bit. I mean, in terms of that on Saturday, I think it is a penalty. I don't think it's a glaring mistake. For me, I think he's you could maybe argue he's slightly on his heels. He should react a bit quicker. I think the St Mirren player sort of gets across him on his blind side. And before you can see him trying to pull out the challenge, but it's too late, and he's caught the guy, and it's a penalty. You see penalties getting given away like that quite a lot. Just the strikers being a bit sharper, but
that's what I said.
But I think in that instance, I think the strikers just been that wee bit sharper. I don't think it was a glaring holy fuck, Starfield, what you doing kind of thing. But again, Franny, I don't know if it'll come to you, but in terms of the partnership with CCV, you can't argue with the numbers, the stats, the wins and the clean sheets they've had together. But like Willie says, he's not a ball playing centre half. I think CCV looks like the ball playing centre half when he plays alongside him, but I don't think he is a fully fledged ball playing centre half. I think we had that in Jens. I think we might have it in Kobayashi. I think going into next season, I don't know, tell me what you think. Going into next season, I would hope that Kobayashi shows that he can also defend as well as he can bring the ball out and stuff, because I think going into Europe next season, if we want to progress in the Champions League and do that bit better, I don't think we do that with Starfelt. Like Willie said, there's a mistake in him, and I think Willie's saying there that it looks more glaring because he doesn't do it all the time in the league. But I think if he was doing that in the Champions League, I think he would get caught out a lot more, and there'd be more situations like it because it's a higher level of player he's playing against. I don't know. Do you think we can go that next step in the Champions League? I'm not saying get out the group, but just do a bit better again with Starfelt alongside CCV, or do you think we need better? And do you think Kobayashi could be that?
I think Kobayashi could be that, but I don't know. Is it key that can you read much into Starfelt coming straight back into the team? I wouldn't really read too much because it's Kobayashi's obviously maybe try to get up to the speed of the league. I know he was in like a month early and things, but I think for now it's, I think we said that before, like the new signings, we don't necessarily need to rush them in. We're not in a, I wouldn't say we were desperate at this time last season, but it was a more desperation or position this time last season or after the January window than it was this year where we were kind of chasing a league where this year it was like 9 points and you couldn't really see we were losing points. But Starfelt's a weird one because, like I say, this is where numbers, I think, with like the stats guys, you can make an absolute valid case probably through the stats that Starfelt's probably the best defender in the league by a country mile, because I dare say he wins every header. I don't know any time he loses a header.
Mm-hmm.
Wins generally all his tackles, but he has got that mistake in him. I'm with you. I don't think the one at the weekend was a mistake as such. Maybe a lack of concentration. So I suppose that is a mistake, but I think it was more unlucky, and it was one of them. It's got to fall on him. Just the way it was. At first, I never thought it was a penalty. Just at the game, it didn't seem as obvious. It seemed like he managed to pull out in time. But I think one of the things you do notice is nobody in the Celtic team, including Starfleet himself, really fought his corner to say, no, I've not, like nobody was round the ref. Nobody was really like saying, no, you've got this one wrong, you've got this wrong. Like it was only Joe Hart that's telling the referee to check VAR, really. But I think everybody knew. And you started when no players are really trying to go around the referee and stuff like that. You kind of get the feeling going, well, it must be a penalty. And it's just, I think going forward, obviously, you could always do better. Starfelt could cut out the mistakes. I think you've got a great defender there, but he just seems to have that mistake in him. I wouldn't, if the cup final was in Mora, I would play Starfelt every day of the week with CCV.
Aye.
But do we hope like the new guys like Kobayashi coming in can dislodge him? Probably the wrong term, because obviously if Kobayashi is turning into a player and Starfelt keeps him out, it's because Starfelt's playing better. It's one of the ones, but I think I do understand what you're saying. You do need a proper ball playing defender, I think, in Europe to kind of progress to help you build attacks for defence, because the defenders probably will have the ball a wee bit more and they maybe need to play the ball quicker, whereas Starfelt and CCV have got lots of time on the ball and domestic level and stuff, so you maybe need somebody that's a wee bit more comfort on the ball that can play that pass. But if you look at the stats, you would take Starfelt in your team every day of the week, but I think when you actually start watching football with your eyes a wee bit, you start seeing the wee mistakes and things like that. It's been brilliant for us. It'll continue to be brilliant for us, but it just has, like we said, he's got that mistake in him.
I think see if you put like CCV in the Hibs or the Hearts first 11, I think he improves them. He'll still be carrying the ball for the back. He'll still very rarely put a foot wrong. I think if you put Starfelt on one of the teams, and Ross has alluded to it with the Champions League coming up, where you're under the cosh a lot more, you're not sitting with 75% of the ball every game. You've got players running at you, pressing you. I think he's got more than one mistake in a game in him, and that scares me a bit. That's the only. And like I said, I'm a fan in the fact that Franny's right. He starts probably where it comes to headers won and duels won and all the rest of it. He's probably one of the best, if not the top in the league. I just think he's not great when he's caught on his heels or somebody's running him or somebody's pressing him. I just feel like
when he's getting backed up,
aye, and he treats the ball like a hot tatty at that point, and he just wants to get rid of it. And then that's like I said, it always ends up doing, like he ends up kicking it with his studs or something rather than his actual foot, and just making an absolute arse of it. I just think in the team, I think we've got 2 or 3 in every position that are top players, and I do think Starfelt's a good player. But if there was one player I would look to, and I know Stephen said like Hart, and a lot of people think the keeper is, I still think the keeper's great keeper. I think if there was one position in that park that I would want to improve, it would be that left centre half.
Aye, I would 100% agree with that, Willie. And again, go back to it, Kobayashi, he's been brought in, 5-year deal. He hopefully will be that guy, but right now, I mean, I think Starfelt's been at the club now for what? Just over a year, something like that, or a season and a half. I think he came in right at the end of the summer, the first summer window Ange was in. But I mean, in that time, he's done really well. But I don't think the vast majority of our support are no daft, and at different times, everybody's always made a case for him coming out of the team and somebody else coming in, whether it be Julian, whether it be Jens, and now we're talking about Kobayashi, and we've hardly seen much of him. But I think I look at Starfelt, and I think he's a better defender than Boyata, but he's got a Boyata mistake in him. So that just tells you how bad Boyata was.
The bad thing about it is I don't like it's no. I'm always having a go at people for nitpicking at stuff, and it sounds like I'm nitpicking at them. I don't see, like, when the starting lineup's read out, I don't go, oh my God, Starfelt's starting. It's not that way. It's not like all the years ago where I can't remember. I remember there was a point where every time Charlie Mulgrew's name got called out, and it was harsh, but it was like, oh, fuck, Charlie's playing centre half a day. I don't feel that way. And I just feel like if the game's on a knife edge, and they get one counter attack, especially in Champions League, I just feel like he could possibly be a bit of a liability.
Aye, I think that last comment for Monty there, he's just nailed what we're trying to say just in one sentence. He's basic defending sound enough. I just don't have total trust him. 100% agree with that. It's a weird feeling to see the guy getting picked in the team and going, right, that's fine. Until he treats the ball like a fucking hot tatty. And then you're like, for God's sake, we need to get somebody else in there if we're wanting to date in Europe. But we all know that. We've spoken about it at length, and we'll probably keep speaking about it at length until somebody else comes in and they're going to be better, or they might not be better. They might come in, we think they're going to be better, and then we start losing more goals. We don't know. But we'll move on to the Celtic's 4th goal. And Franny, your man, Haksabanovic, he came on, I think he got the last 12 minutes or something, but he was involved in this goal. And then Matt O'Reilly, as we've touched on, gets off the mark. What did you think? I mean, obviously the game's done at that point anyway, but just obviously your thoughts on the goal.
It was, like I say, the game was that just space. I don't know, for some reason. St Mirren probably just, I don't think they were total trying to rush us and get up the park, but probably just too many players caught up the park and stuff. Maybe just try to chase, see if they can get that goal to maybe get back in the game and make it 3-2, make it an every last couple of minutes, and then you say Haksabanovic just picked up and then plays in O'Reilly, and I think he had O on one side of him, and I can't remember who was on the other side. It might even have been Haksabanovic managed to make up the ground, but the space just, obviously St Mirren had lost a centre half when they got sent off, and I don't think they actually changed it to bring another one, so it just kind of opened up for O'Reilly, and he just kind of caressed that shot in, and absolute great finish. The guy, a power of God, he was almost like apologetic with his celebration and stuff. It was like had the hands like this and that, as if to say sorry that, but like I've said, the guy's
Thank
been
fuck.
brilliant. But that's probably what it is. It probably is because players probably say they didn't read the papers, didn't read social media, but they'll know themselves that he's no. It'll be like, I've not scored in absolutely ages. So you just hope that gives them the confidence to now kick on. It is a key bit of the season coming up, obviously with the cup final coming up. So if that gives them the confidence to, I say, push on when he's the actual top assist and got the most assists in domestic and stuff. So he has been performing. It's just that goal has eluded him. Mm-hmm. So you hope that this now gives them the confidence to kick on. That might push Moy onto better and bigger levels. It just kind of gets Setu fighting for that position and stuff. So it can only bode well if for the guy and for Celtic that obviously he has been playing well. The goal will give him confidence, and it's just onwards and upwards for the guy.
Aye, I mean, I think that just what you've said there on obviously Moy and O'Reilly, I think that sort of he epitomises the sort of sentiments that Ange looks for, and he's touched on, where you're no guaranteed a game at big clubs, and we're a big club. But in terms of O'Reilly, obviously we touched on it last week. Just with the sort of criticism, I don't know if it's criticism or no, but a bit of unrest with how he's been performing of late. He's obviously got that goal. Just what you thought. I think he got half an hour. Just what you thought of his performance, and can he kick on now?
I thought he was excellent again. I think it was him that put the ball in for Abada to eventually win the penalty as well. It was a great ball. Mm-hmm. I've never had any issues or qualms with O'Reilly. I think he's been fantastic this season. Still, we've talked about this whole secondary assist thing. I'd be worried if I think we can all focus too much on stats, myself included. It's an argument I use all the time. If somebody says, "Oh, he's not playing well," I'll say, "Well, he's got 2 goals and assists in the last 5 games. How's that not?" And I think we can focus too much on stats sometimes. But when he's no scoring goals, like he's like I say, I think he's got 11 assists now or something in the league. He's got more assists than anybody in the league. More assists than Jota, who apparently is flying now. He is flying. More than Abada's, more than Hatate's. But I think it's maybe just because Moyes came in and he's been absolutely electric that people started to doubt him a bit. But in saying that as well, I think that 99% of the Celtic fan base, if they needed or wanted anybody to score on Saturday night, it was Matt O'Reilly, and thankfully duly obliged. It was a great finish, and I reckon maybe if he's had more time in the squad, like you say, Moyes kind of ousted him a wee bit. I think he probably would have got his goal before now, but listen, if he keeps putting assists in and playing the way he's been playing, like I said on Monday last week, he's a minimum 7 out of 10 every week for me. And that was always my argument when Taylor was getting stick as well. He's still a minimum 7 out of 10 and gives everything. And the fact that his game time's been limited slightly, and like the gaffer said at the end of the match, these guys only coming on and mumping and moaning that they're not starting. He's coming on to say, "I'm going to show you what I can do in this half an hour." If there's players that aren't like that, i.e. GG, then away you go. We'll find somebody else that does want to be here. And O'Reilly's definitely that. I think he's definitely committed to the cause, and I'm again looking forward to seeing him a bit more often in the team. I reckon that, like say, Hatate's played like every single game pretty much. I was actually like Hatate. I think like the best player in their team this season. I think he's been absolutely immense. But it might be interesting over the next few weeks. Like we said, we've not got a game every 2 or 3 days now. It'll be interesting to see if he does rotate the side, and I reckon we will be seeing a bit more O'Reilly, and hopefully he continues to do what he's been doing all season, because he's been fabulous for me.
Aye, I mean, I would agree with that. I think I've never had a problem. We know that's his first goal of the season. His general play for me has always been fine. When he first came in, he was outstanding. I think he's been really, really good now. If he was absolutely shite, I would see the sort of the worry, if you like. But you were talking there about sort of stats. Now, he's only got 1 goal. I might be wrong, but I'm sure I heard when Hatate scored, I think it was maybe first or second goal the other night. I think that was only, I might be talking rubbish here, I might have misheard it, but I think that was only his 6th or 7th goal of the season. Now, Hatate is flying, like you've said, one of the best players in the team this season. He's only got 6 or 7 goals. He's no double figures because the goals are spread all over the team. Matt Riley's got 1 goal, but he could get, like if he gets a run of games, he could get 3 or 4 goals in his next 6 or 7 games.
Right.
And he's right up there with probably our top midfielder in terms of goals. Plus, he's got the best assists. So I'm no overly worried about him. Franny, just don't know what you think his performance. He's half an hour that he got, and just obviously again, if you think he can kick on, and just what you think the unrest, if you like, for certain elements of the support on his performance levels.
It's one of the ones where I think his performances they've not been, for me anyway, they've not been the standard they has been when he came in. But has that been down to Moy as well, where Moy's came in and Moy's performed well, and then O'Reilly's maybe thought, let's not forget the guy, what is he, 21-year-old, 22, still a young laddie, and then Moy's came in, a very experienced player, kind of took his position, because obviously O'Reilly team was still getting kind of rotated, but obviously Moy was recently anyway getting the lion's share of the game time, so it might have been a wee bit hard for the guy to take initially and stuff. It's maybe going, oh well, it's an Australian came in, Ange as well. He's all but Australian. Ange, he's been the Australian manager and stuff. It's somebody knows, it's a friend and things like that. It's going to be hard for me to get back a team. Maybe his confidence taking a wee bit of a hit, but I've never really been concerned with his performance. It's one of the ones, for me anyway, I was like, I know he can do better. I'm just waiting on it happening. Sometimes players just need to play through the form. And aye, exactly. So that's what Paul Dyatt said there. It's testament to how good we are. That he's struggling to hold in a position. It's just, I think for O'Reilly, it was still, the key thing is, for me, his form wasn't as good as what it had been, but it was still good. He's still contributing. Like, he's got all the assists, he's got the second assists, and now he's got the goal. So he's managed to, I think it was just one of the ones, he's maybe just the type of player that needs to play his way through a sticky spell, so to speak. And I think it does it. It showed that I think that's shown that he's got the right attitude for the fight, that he's there to fight for his position. He's not got to sulk and just go, well, what's the point in trying then? I'm got to show the manager when I've got a chance that I'm his guy, but I'm not going to throw the toys at the pram. If I do show him in that 30 minutes and Moy gets a game next week, I'll go, well, next time I obviously need to do more. Obviously, thought I done good, but I must need to do more.
I think, see for if I'm a certain midfielder, you're looking at getting more assists than your goals. See if O'Reilly had 10 goals and 1 assist this year, do you think there'd be as much clamour about him?
Nah.
Probably not.
A lot of people, I would say, Kevin De Bruyne probably gets more joy out of getting an assist than he does a goal himself. I know when I wasn't a lot of shite, but when I played, I as a midfielder, and I loved getting an assist more than I did a goal. I just think it's a goal involvement. There's no need to.
I still a goal on it at the end of the day.
Scoring goals, you know what I mean?
See, as long as the team are performing the way they're performing, O'Reilly, every player for me. I mean, the only thing you could say about this team is the odd time there's maybe a wee mistake for Joe Hart. The odd time there's a wee mistake for Carl Starfelt. I would say the rest of the players in general, for the most part, play well. You've got younger guys, will come to Abada soon, but you've got guys like him, O'Reilly, who are a bit younger. I don't think when there's a bit of a drop with them, I don't think they're awful at any stage, but you maybe see that drop. But I think generally the top teams, not every single player in the squad team is firing on all cylinders the entire season all at the one time. But if one has a drop off, somebody else comes in, and that's just what Ange has built this squad to do that. But sticking with the midfield, we've obviously talked about Moy. Well, I'll come to you. We've obviously talked about Moy, and we've talked.
I don't know if he was talking about because when you were talking about when you were playing.
All right.
We've talked about Moy. We've obviously talked about O'Reilly there. Just in terms of David Turnbull, obviously he got his start on Saturday. Do you think he played as well as he maybe hoped, given that start? Or do you think that I think he got an hour maybe? Do you think in that time that he maybe more, rather than showed why he should be in the team, he more showed why he isn't in the team ahead of your O'Reilly's, etc.?
Possibly. I mean, we discussed him last. I think he's been brilliant since he's came back. I think he probably shown more in his 20-minute cameos. It seems like every time he got 20 minutes recently, he's been scoring. Scoring's ridiculous. I bet his minute to goal ratio is absolutely ridiculous. But I know what you mean. He's worked hard to get that start, and then I don't think he's made the most of it, to be honest with you. But he's still a fabulous player. And I did say last week that I think it's working well where he's coming on and getting half an hour. And I don't know whether it's opposition tiring or whatnot, but he's always seems to get a shot away, and more often than not, he's hitting the target. I think that's been working well recently, so I would stick with that. But it's hard because he's in these wee 20-minute cameos. He's been showing what he's capable of. But the team's just, like you said, like he's probably our third choice number 10, and he would walk into any team in the country. He's a fabulous player. So it's, but I mean, it's difficult with that midfield three, man. I think Kalmak and Hatate are untouchable, and it's just like everybody else is fighting for that other position.
No, sorry, go on.
No, that was it.
No, I was just going to say, like, obviously, I think Moy and O'Reilly are well ahead of him at the minute. You're talking about I'm coming in and doing well in the 20-minute cameos.
Yeah.
What I would say with that is, for me, he is coming in and doing well in the 20-minute cameos, but in the periods he's coming on, we're maybe 2 or 3-0 up in the game and cruising. So he gets that bit more freedom. Don't know what you think on that, Franny. And just obviously his performance the other night, and just again, do you think he showed more why he isn't in the team rather than the other way about?
I think he did show why he isn't in the team. You do feel sorry for him, because I think he got the start of his performances, like these cameos he's had. I don't think anybody questioned him starting on Saturday, because, like we have said, he has been performing well and stuff. And the guy, if there was a player that did deserve a chance, it was probably him, just to see what he can do for the start. And in fairness, he didn't perform well. He looked frustrated coming off the park. He obviously knows that it might be a few games and now before he gets another start. Like, let's not forget, Ange played until he got injured. I think, was it the cup final or the semi-final? He played every game for Ange until round about the January time. Then obviously Hatate and O'Reilly and stuff came in, and they just hit the ground running. He obviously was coming back for injury, and he found it hard to get back in the team. So he's clearly a player Ange likes. It didn't do sell any favours. I don't think the match was great on Saturday until he incidentally went off the same time we got the penalty, and they go down to 10 men, and where he would have probably, at least for the next 10-15 minutes, probably flourished, because there'd have been a lot more space in the game. I felt like the game was kind of slow, which didn't help him. I don't really think, as good as him and Moy are, I don't really think they work brilliant together. But I don't think the way the game panned out helped Turnbull, and he was a wee bit unlucky at the fact that they went down to 10 minutes. He was getting subbed as well, so it was a really unlucky game for him, in the fact that like I said, it never really he never done his cell justice. He never showed us what he'd been shown in his previous appearances and stuff. And his probably raging gone off. And then when he's seen how the last sort of half an hour to 20 minutes panned out, he's probably gone, just typical. I've had my chance. The game wasn't great, and look what's happened in the last 20 minutes. It's just the game just totally opened up, and then his replacements came on and got a double.
I think that's a really good point. That, to be fair, I never really thought of it like that. But in terms of the game, when he's on, St Mirren are like you say, they're keeping it tight, and then he goes off, and suddenly the game opens up when St Mirren get the man off, and Turnbull could easily have done what O'Reilly done in that game and flourished with more space. I still think he's a bit off. Like say O'Reilly and Moyt, certainly. I think physically as well. I think he needs to work on his strength. I think he looks a bit slight, but I think it was Danielle said in the comments there. Currently, the way he is now, I would agree with her that he is in this current Celtic team. He's a squad player, but what a squad player to have! I have to say, we're blessed all over the park. Yeah. We're talking. I mean, it's a great conversation for us to be having about Moy, O'Reilly, and Turnbull. And like Willie says, Turnbull would get into pretty much any other team in the league. Rangers, quite possibly, but definitely any other team he would walk straight into. But I'll come on to another guy, Franny, your man, Haksabanovic. Obviously, he's been out. He was injured for a wee bit. He's sort of trying to work his way back into the team. He got 12 minutes. In that time, he was involved in the last 2 goals, I think it was. In terms of his position in the squad, his performance in the 12 minutes and his position in the squad, do you think that he can sort of... Do you think he's an impact player for the rest of the season, or do you think he can stake a claim on that sort of left side, given the options that we've already got out there, and like say Jota and Maeda?
He's certainly a player I like. I think we've all said he's got that European class type about him. He looks a really, really top player. I think the way the team's playing, he's got to have to do well to get in, especially out in the left, where I think he probably is. It sounds that he's probably his strongest position is maybe that 10, and right now that's got to be really hard for him getting to that 10 position. As good as Ange is, I just didn't see him getting in there. But out left again, would you, as much as I like the boy, would I have him in front of Maeda? Nah. I probably wouldn't have him in front of Jota either. I know he can play out right, so maybe that's his kind of best chance, but he has came on the left. He might get a bit of chance now that, depending on Kyogo's injury, you're hoping obviously it's not a bad injury and stuff. So I think for the foreseeable now anyway, what's this season, I think he'll be more an impact player. He'll maybe start getting more minutes, maybe the 20 to 30 minutes, and if he then puts in good performances, then you might see he might get a similar chance to like Turnbull and get a game for the start. But right now, if you look at the team, if you're asking me who gets ahead of, I'm struggling to make a case for him to get ahead of, especially Maeda and Jota out left. I mean, Jota's getting played in the right. I know you think there's not much difference between if Jota plays right or left. I think Jota's best. I think we get the best out of Jota as a left midfielder, but you need Maeda in that team right now, and I think that says all you need to know is if Jota's gone it right, so Maeda's in the team. I didn't see how Haksabanovic gets on the left.
Aye, it's a tough one. You'd said you think he's better in the number 10. For me, I think he's better coming in for out wide. I think he showed that in the game the other night, Willie. Obviously, he's cut in, and I can't mind it. He played it into, I can't mind. I think it was the first of the 2 he was involved in. But he comes inside, he runs. He's a really he's good at running with the ball, a good dribbler. I don't know, what do you think he's sort of placing the squad as going forward?
I agree with Franny, whereas I think at this point in time he's probably as just a squad player, but there's no saying that. We've seen it with countless players this year. If they do come in and perform, they will get a chance. I think it's difficult for him because, for me, he's a left winger. There's far too much going on in a number 10 for just to get him involved in as well. can't even get through Aurelio. But the difficult thing for him is I think Jota's nailed on, and I think Maeda is the other man that's in the team at the moment. But the problem with him is we've not got 2 left wingers and 2 right wingers. So if Maeda's no performing, Jota's getting put out in the left and Abada's coming in the right. It's no like if Maeda's no performing, then he's next in line for the left. I think he moves Jota over there, so it's as if he's got 2 players to beat to get into that left hand side. Although I think he could play in the right as well. But I mean, Abada's performed since he came in as well. But I think he just needs to keep doing what he's doing. I think you're right. I think he's better. I think he's better than Maeda and Abada when it comes to dropping the shoulder and beating a man and dribbling. And I think that his ability to get the ball in the box is better than they two. Also, I don't think he's as good as Jota. I think he could be. So he's definitely got a bit like what I said earlier on with Kyogo and different abilities. He offers something totally different to what Abada or Maeda offer. So it's always it's like if that's not working, it's great to have him in. But I do think that he's second or possibly third choice in at the left at the moment. So hopefully we see a bit more of him, a bit more of his cameos, and he'll get back. I think he's had a bit of a torrid time, man. He keeps getting in, and when he does come in and shows a bit of his stuff, he ends up injured and he's out for a few weeks again, and then he's back to square one trying to get back into this team again because you didn't want to get injured at this point because if you get injured and you're out for a number of weeks, it's fucking difficult to get back into that team. So it's an interesting one, but he looks a top talent, and like you say, the squad depth's just incredible. I've never seen anything like it at this club.
I mean, we're blessed. Again, we're talking about this. We're talking about Turnbull being a squad player. We're talking about Haksabanovic struggling to get in the team. Don't want to call him a squad player. He's a very cultured player. But again, he's struggling to get in that Celtic team. But he would get into any other team in the league.
Yeah.
But again, going into next season in Europe, I think he could be a big player for us. And we'll rotate because we'll have to because of all the games that we'll play. But again, a cultured player. But I sort of touched on it the other week. I think it was last Monday. We were talking about how Bhoys came in and Rogic had went away, and I was saying like obviously about Rogic was more of a ball carrier, whereas Bhoys keeps the ball moving throughout the team. I think similar. I was going to say Jota's a ball carrier as well, but he gets in the team. I think he probably carries the ball. I don't know. Don't you think? Do you think he carries the ball better than Haksabanovic, Franny?
I probably would say, but I can see where Wally's coming from, saying that Haksabanovic could be better. I think he's sometimes Jota. You're like, we've said that before. He's kind of got that Ronaldo early doors Ronaldo stuff about him, where it's maybe just in too many tricks and flicks. Where Haksabanovic, it's dropped the shoulder. His ball control's really good, and I think his finishing's better than Jota's. But Jota, I think, is he my favourite player? It's just one of them. I don't know. I honestly didn't know the answer to that.
I know.
I don't reckon, mate.
See, to be honest, I didn't even know I was going to ask that question.
I think you made a good point about how Jota. I think you're right about Jota's similarities with. Obviously, he's not as good as what Ronaldo was, but I think Haksabanovic, in the same token, has got similarities to. He's obviously nowhere near as good as Messi, but the same how he's got a low centre of gravity. His balance is great. It's no tricks and flicks. It's just a drop of the shoulder one way and he's away and beating the player.
Jota does the Ronaldo step overs.
Tricks and tricks.
He does the. It's. I don't know. I think he's going to be a really good player for us, and it's another great option. But let's see. Aye, name. I honestly, I don't think. Maybe
Tillman, maybe. But then it's in the 10,
front of who though? Aye, in front of who? Goldson maybe in place of Starfelt. Even then, I don't know. It's close.
I think
We'd maybe get away with handball in it though.
I think if you put I honestly think if you put
Barisic at left back.
I think if you put our second 11 out, there would be 6 or more of our second 11.
Aye. It's brilliant. I'm just looking at it once again. I thought I was going to have an hour episode a wee Monday night, and we're at an hour and 15 minutes, and still got plenty to go here. I think we'll leave Abada out because we've talked about him at length, and I think we know that again what we've said. He'll have fits and starts. He'll be good. He'll be bad.
He was excellent.
But he was excellent on Saturday. But we'll move on to Kyogo's injury, which we briefly touched on there. But obviously, it seems to be this kind of, is it recurring or reoccurring? Reoccurring shoulder injury. It seems to be anyway. I'll just come back to you, Willie. In terms of, obviously, we hope beyond hope that he's going to make the cup final. I don't think by any stretch he'll play this weekend coming. I would be surprised unless he's like totally fit. But in terms of the final, if he doesn't make it, obviously Ange opted for Maeda through the middle. Would you start Maeda in the final, or would you give O a chance?
I don't know. I really like what I've seen in O, but if he's not fit enough, then I would prefer. I think O's more of a danger. We've seen it. I don't think Rangers like the physicality. We've seen it with GG on a number of occasions last year. But hopefully Kyogo's not out for long, because I think he's as big a loss to the team as anybody. I think if you take CCV out of that team, we're banging trouble. But I also think Kyogo's probably next in line after that. Even like I thought I would have said the same about Kalmack, but when he came out, O'Reilly absolutely ran the show in there as well. I just don't think we've got as much quality and depth there. I'm saying that O looks like a superstar, so he could end up just doing what Giakoumakis did last year and going on a run of games where he ends up top goal scorer playing half a season. I really like O, and like I said, I think if I'm Goldson and co, and I seen Maeda on the team sheet rather than O, I'd be a bit happier. But I do think I think Kyogo will start anyway, even if he's not fit.
Aye. What about you, Franny?
I think if the day I would say Maeda, just simply, I know we said we really like what we see O, but it's one of them. Maeda maybe knows the fixture a wee bit better. I actually don't. I feel like I'm going to start arguing. Try to back Maeda up and then put O in here.
It'll be interesting to see what happens at the weekend. If O starts and he scores, if O starts, he looks good, scores 2, then he's playing the final.
Aye, I think so. I think you're right there. Well, it depends on how we face up the next couple of games before that. If O starts to get more minutes and even starts a game, I think he'll start. But if you see Maeda through the middle and there's no signs of Kyogo being back for it, I think Maeda will play through there, which I think obviously does prefer I don't think Rangers do like the physicality, but Maeda just doesn't give you a minute's peace. I would prefer him out left because he just, that last game, for half an hour he had Tavernier on toast, and I think he would be worried about him again. I think he looks better out there. But equally, if it's Goldson and Davis, I don't think they'll be too happy with Maeda up front. But it could be the unknown. They don't really know how to deal with him, so that could be a positive for us. But I think right now I would say Maeda, but it's more just down to I say what I know to get for Maeda. You sometimes don't you you could get an absolute great performance or terrible. You just didn't know.
Well, for me, I think. Well, I love Maeda, and I think if Kyogo was fit right, the front three would be Maeda on the left, Kyogo through the middle, and Jota on the right. I think that's not up for discussion. So for me, when you take out what O could bring to the team through the middle or what Maeda could, I think take that out of the equation. I think that if you just play O, then you're only changing one player in that front three, and you've still got your two wide men who you would want to go with. If you bring Maeda into the middle, then you've changed your striker, and you've then had to change your left winger, if you like. So there's two changes. I don't know if that would maybe come into Ange's thinking. But then, if you do put Maeda in there, who do you go with then? Do you know what I mean? That's the next question. Do you put Jota obviously goes on the left if Maeda goes through the middle? Who plays on the right? Do you go Abada? Do you go Haksabanovic, Abada, Forrest?
No idea what the gaffer will do. You never seen Forrest for weeks, and then he started at Ibrox.
Aye. Listen, time will tell on that. I didn't want to go too deep into that because obviously whoever's on will probably talk more at length on that pre that match. But I'll just come on to it was Ange's post match. He done like an interview alongside Stratton and Big Iwalumo, and he was slightly pushed on the sort of speculation, the lead speculation. I think for me, he dispelled it impeccably. He sort of joked. I'm just sort of paraphrase. He joked, obviously, because John Kennedy had came out and done the presser on the Friday.
Right.
He'd made a joke about that, and then he was asked like to give the fans a message to sort of reassure us, and he said, the fans don't need a message from me. They need me to keep making sure our football club keep representing them the right way. He says, I'm blessed to be in the position I am, working for a special football club, and I'm never going to lose sight of that. I mean, he said he doesn't think the fans need a message, Willie. I think that was a message, and it was about as reassuring as it possibly can get. What did you think of that?
Yet again, just hang on every word. I think he just always knows the right thing to say. It was magic. I think it was, you know what? I think it was a good move, him not doing the pressers during the week. He must be sick, fed up of hearing speculation and answering it every. You can tell he gets annoyed sometimes with questions, and he's like, I've answered this 100 times this week. So I actually thought it was a good move. And Kennedy's always been a good speaker and all the rest of it. So he's very able in his appearances. So, but I mean, it was magic what he said. I love the fact that I love these conversations with Gordon Strachan at the end of that game as well, because Gordon Strachan was kind of asking a few technical questions about how we played, and you could just tell it was a coach, and he was interested to pick his brain, and he's never shies away. That was the last cup game as well. He came right out after the game and was live with the guys with Hartson and all that as well.
Right.
I think we all have said it for the start. The guy seems to know what he has here. I think he's loyal. I think if he continues to do what he's doing, I think there's a very good possibility he'll move on. I don't think it's going to happen anytime soon. And I think it needs to be a project that would suit him, and it would need to be a top club. I don't think he's going to jump ship at the first opportunity. It's not about money for him. He said that always sell. He always says about it's the project. And when he comes out and says that he's very blessed to be in the position he is, and he knows that, and he never loses sight of that, and yet again goes back to what this club is all about, and it's us, the fans. Just reminds me of that time before that game when we beat Rangers 3-0 under the lights, and after the game, you think he'd be talking about the game, and the first thing he said was, "Listen, life's shit pretty much. If we can have these fans come in and forget about that for an hour and a half and put them away home with a smile on their face." I mean, What manager would say that after beating their biggest rivals 3-0?
No.
We talk
Puts
about
the
Leeds,
result and
well.
everything. That's the first thing that comes to his mind. And he's done it again. He talks about us and how blessed he is. And he did. It was pretty much I know Stephen always goes back to me in his very first interview, and I say, like, it just felt like he gave me a big cuddle and says, "Don't worry, I've got this. I've got your club. I know it's in a bad way, but I'm going to sort it out." By God, has he done that? And every interview that he does, I still feel that way. It's just like a massive cuddle. Don't worry, I've got this sorted. Don't you worry about it. You go on and enjoy your life, and then on Saturday when you come back, I'll make you happy again.
Right.
The boy's just an absolute. Quickly becoming my favourite ever Celtic manager. Just oozes class. Absolute oozes class. He would never do a bad. I was a big Brendan Rodgers fan. I still am. I know he got a lot of shit for what he did, and I understand that. This man's never going to do that. He's never going to do the backdoor job. Never in 100 million years.
No, he's got far too much integrity, and like Rodgers says, he grew up a Celtic fan, stuff like that. But Rodgers, whatever you say about the guy, he has got a bit of an ego. The relationship is broke down between him and Law. I don't think the relationship is broken down between Ange and Nicholson, etc. But Franny, for me, before that interview, after the game, I never ever felt that there was any danger he was going to go. But any wee seeded doubt that I did have was obviously he was appeased, if you like. What was your thoughts?
I thought it was a class, but absolute touch of class for the guy once again. He's. I also kind of run about way showed that he knows he's no bigger in the club as well. Like, he knows that he said that he's essentially passing through, so to speak. He's just passing through. So he's saying, look, I'm here. I know I'm here where you want me here, so to speak. I know I'm no bigger in the club. There might be somebody come in and do a better job than me and whatnot. I just thought it was, like Wally was saying, like you were saying, it was a really, really classy message. It was not all me. It was like, no,
never is.
First thought was the fans. It was like, I felt giving it, like you said, I felt giving a message. He did give us a message to say, look, I'm not ready to leave right now. Like the Leeds one at the time didn't really make sense. They're in decline. He's not got a transfer window to bring anybody. I just didn't see him. Don't see him moving in a January window anyway. But again, I didn't see him jumping ship to a club when he can't actually. Well, in the last sort of 3-4 months of the season, where he can't actually change anything with a team that's kind of fighting relegation. I mean, me and my apprentice were talking. If he's getting linked to jobs, it means he's doing something decent at Celtic. Whether we like it or not, he's got, like, the teams at APL will have a look at him. So I suppose if he's getting linked to jobs, it means we're playing well. But I just like me and him said, like, I don't know how we'll cope when he does go. And my worry as well is he's probably got to be the first player he takes wherever he goes.
Oh,
he said it himself. He said it himself at the end of the game. He says, whenever one of my players is in this situation, I always just tell him, just keep playing and keep doing what you're doing. Whatever happens will happen, and it'll take care of yourself. He says, I'm the exact same. I'll keep coming in. I'll keep working hard. Magic. And see, when you said that about his class and about how he never ever puts himself first. I don't know if you've seen that. Was it Nathan Jones, the boy at Southampton, the manager?
Oh, aye.
You see him another week. He came out, well, he lost 7 of his first 8 games, and he was coming out saying that he's got when he was at Luton, he had the best stats as a manager. And I'm one of the top 3 managers in the world because this and that. The next thing,
I was fucking.
Well, your team's not showing it on the pitch.
Couldn't even look at the screen.
And the first thing, all I could think of was, we're so lucky to hear who we've got. Ange would never even approach that subject. You just look like a fool, mate. And Ange's never ever looked a fool in his life.
No, he's absolutely first class. And just like Franny had mentioned there, I don't know how I'm going to be when he eventually does go, because he will. We know that. We'll get. For me, I think we'll get at the very least next season out of him, because he'll want to have another tilt at the Champions League. So at the very least, we're getting next season out of him. And then what happens. But I will be the most upset I've ever been, probably since Henrik Larsson left the club. I think that'll be the most upset I'll be when he goes, and he eventually will go. But I really hope it's no at the end of
That's
next
a
season.
point, yeah.
It?
Every person in it, Barry Ferguson, Ali McCoy, every one of them, as I've said, I'll drive him down there myself.
Aye,
because you know the job he's doing up here, and he's absolutely destroying everything in his way, and all these blue noses are wanting him gone. And listen, if the shoe was on the other foot, I'd be the exact same.
Aye. What was it? I put a meme up, or a meme, whatever you fucking call it, and it was a photo of Ange, and it was something like, "You mocked his arrival, now you pray for him to go," or something like that. And it's just, it just sums it up perfectly. But we'll finally move on to obviously the Scottish Cup draw was made today for the quarter final, and we got Hearts at Tynecastle. I mean, other than probably Rangers at Ibrox, Franny, that's as tough as it gets. But I mean, again, pre that match, we'll touch on it, but just briefly, what you think of that draw?
You said it yourself in the group chat, Ross. It's Ibrox aside, it's probably the hardest ground to go to. Hearts are flying now, so it should make for a good cup tie and stuff. And you're going to have to play some hard games if you really want to win it. But I'm obviously got to be confident going into the game the way. Well, I don't know when the game is. Not for another wee while, but you didn't see us really dropping points anytime soon. So it's one to look forward to. But it'll be a tricky game. Tynecastle never seems to be easy to go to.
Aye. It's always a difficult ground. They're always certainly more up for it when we come to town.
I wish I was as confident as this guy.
Great draw. Listen, on paper, none of the games, apart from you would possibly say Rangers at Ibrox, none of them are tough. But it's a cup tie. It's a one-off game, Willie. I think that's going to be a tough day. But VAR will be getting used. But if VAR gets used right, hopefully it will only be 4-3. And Greg Taylor will get the winner. But if he does, I'll take that as well.
I definitely, mate. I agree with both of you. I think and agree in the same. I reckon, I'm more confident that we'll put them away. But it's with the teams that were left in the pot, it's as tough a draw as you'll get. But this team just doesn't stop. I didn't even mean that pun. It's like 3, 4, 5 goals per game. It's just relentless. So I don't see anything other than another win for us and keep the train going. But Tynecastle's not nice, nasty place to go. But more confident with this team that we'll roll them over.
Aye. I'm confident as well. I think it's, like I said earlier in the group chat, if you want to win the elite tournaments, you have to beat the elite teams. So let's just get them out the road in the quarterfinals. Well, that sort of brings us to the end of the podcast. But I've decided to go back to the old school and bring back our best of 5 quick fire quiz. How are you feeling about that?
Lovely.
I'll just turn off these comments.
Lovely. Oh, you better turn the comments off. Right, we'll just get right into it. So, question 1. 2 seconds, actually, because I'll need to keep score. Right, question 1.
Hold on, I need to hide the comments too, but see for a day. Alistair, send Stephen a message or something on Twitter, man. We need to get you on.
Aye.
100%, aye.
Right, hold on, I hide these now.
It's well overdue. Right, question 1. Odsonne Edouard left in August on deadline day of what year?
2020?
No. 2022.
No.
What's it no?
21.
Aye, Willie gets it. It's 2021.
It's mental to that's the second season away, man.
Again, eh?
You've not heard my call film since.
I know.
No, was it? I think it was.
He scored 10 goals for them, yeah.
I think it was Talk Sport. I was watching the other day. I was listening to, and Simon Jordan was talking about him and saying how he came in at the early doors and he scored a few goals, but he's not really done much since. But anyway, question 2. Paul Lambert was at Celtic from 97 to 2005, but which club did he join from?
Borussia
Dortmund.
That was Franny. Question 3. This is tasty. This is tasty. Wee competition here. Very exciting.
Concentration in Franny's face, man.
I know.
Okay, with this question, with this question, you might not get the exact answer, so I'll take closest to. Right. We played our home games at Hampden in season 94-95, but how much was our rent for the season?
Oft.
750,000.
Oh, I mean that. 2.5 million.
It was 500,000. 500,000. So Franny gets that. Right, that's 2-1 to Franny. Question 4.
That's fucking cheap, by the way.
I know.
It's all right. I mean, it's 94-95. 94-95, and we're playing our games in the fucking tinny beans, man. Right. Question 4. We hold the record for the longest unbeaten run in UK domestic football. How many games was it?
63.
He's right too.
No.
74.
No, but so the answer is 69. Who was closest? And we'll go with that.
That's Franny. Franny's
About
one.
1 I think.
Aye, I was 6 away. He was 5 away.
Unless
2 + 2 is 4. -1.
we could make it interesting and just no give that to Andy.
You can't go it.
Aye, right. We'll keep it interesting. So that's still 2-1. Still 2-1. Question.
If I get beat, we're not keeping on. I'm calling that.
Right. Question 5. It's 2-1 to Franny. Sutton has the record for the fastest Old Firm goal. How quick was it?
59 seconds.
1 minute 47. I'm going, but I feel it was under a minute.
Yeah, it was 18 seconds.
Oh,
wow,
was it? That quick?
Aye.
Wow.
So that's that. 5 questions. Franny gets it. 2-1.
Okay.
That's mental. He scored that quick.
18 seconds. 6-2 game.
I just felt it was like a minute or so, man.
I might have been early doors.
Aye. Well, that's us to the end of the podcast. Just I want to say thanks for everybody sticking with us for 1 hour and 37 minutes. 69, my favourite number. It's my second favourite, but I like cones. But that's the end of the podcast. If you've enjoyed it, boys.
It was superb, mate. Great chat tonight.
Good.
Aye, I enjoyed it myself. I always get slightly nervous just before I'm hosting, but then I just always settle into it. But it's even worse on a Monday night when you're fucking on cans of Iron Brew instead of a wee beer.
I know.
But just again, thanks for everybody sticking with us, and I hope you enjoy the rest of your Monday night. And I'm going to end by saying, what is it?
I think you're going to remember. Just go.
Stay well. Keep safe. Keep safe. Stay well.
Stay well. Stay well. Keep safe. Hail. See you later.